All right, Warrior Junior here. I guess we'll talk for a little bit about, you know, about what it takes to change, yourself and the way that you are. You know, I feel really bad for this young generation nowadays. People that are half my age, these fitness influencers, they think they're all something, taking steroids, cheating, and everything like that. You know, it's just a nonsensical approach to understanding what fitness is about. It's if you mention the name like Jack LaLanne to anybody that's like 25, 99% of them, they're like, well, who's that? Or, oh, the old guy that would do this kind of stuff. It's interesting because, you see a lot of these gyms, a lot of people joining the gym. But it's like, what are you doing? What are you getting really for your time? I want you to really think about this now. When you pay a monthly fee to go to a place, a gym, ask yourself, like, are you going there? Like, what are you extracting? What are you like taking out from your time? And this is something really to think about. Something really to think about because a lot of people that go to the gym, people go for all these different reasons. They go to be around, you know, other like-minded people, that but what is it? I mean, what are you really getting from it? Like, let's be brutally honest. I think for women, younger women, it's all, it's the look. It's what, they're working out to look their best. That makes sense, right? I'm not a woman, I don't know. I mean, I heard this one analogy that if you're if the gym was about health, then there would be like blood pressure machines everywhere instead of mirrors, right? It's hard, like if you're 25, your perspective on this is different than if you're 55. It has to be because you're from a different time. They called it in your prime. I eh, there's so much that goes into this topic. I mean, it's endless because everybody's so focused on the superficial. They're like, oh yeah, wow, wow, you're in good shape. Oh my God, oh, for your age, you look like something. You know, what's important is not what somebody looks like. It's how you feel. It's just doesn't make sense. The male body, the man's body is not supposed to look impressive. It's supposed to be efficient, but this social conditioning is all predicated on, who like decides this? I'm personally more impressed by somebody that can do 500 push-ups than somebody that's like visually, blown up and whatever. But, most people, they look at somebody and what they see is like the final answer. Like, you look great. The fuck cares? But this is the way that society works. I never say that. I never say, you look amazing. I always ask, I say, how do you feel? Because when you get older, that's going to be the most important thing. A young person, they don't see it coming. They don't see time adding up. They don't see that agility, mobility, being able to move are going to be the most important things. You don't see it. If you're 25, how can you see it? You're in your prime, you're young. And by the time you're 50 years old, I used to be able to do this when I used to be able. I hear that every fucking day. I used to be able to. Stuff, I mean, it's just this type of thinking that the programming. I just say fuck it. To go along like a robot, like the way that this works, it's just bullshit. It's bullshit to me. You know, it's funny because where I work out. Well, my gym closed yesterday. It's permanently closed. So the park that where I work out at, they have bars, the rings. They have lots of kind of interesting things you can use. And it's always these little kids that see. They're like, oh my god, like the kids. I gotta try this. I gotta do things. And the parents, it's like, oh okay, like the parents ain't working out. It's like that childhood excitement to being a kid, it just goes away. I don't know when. I don't know. I think maybe sometime in the 20s or something. No, okay, well, I can't. No, you can't be a kid anymore. Can't do the things that kids do. I have to grow up now. And you know what happens when you grow up? I used to be able to do that on the rings. I used to be able to do pull-ups. I used to be able to is what your life fucking turns into because you become part of society now. You join in. Gotta make a living. I gotta it's not about you anymore. If you have kids now, it's all about them. It's their time to have fun. But what you don't fail to realize is that because you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be around long enough. You're not, generally. On average. Because people don't put the value into taking care of their health until it's gone. Until a doctor tells you you are going to die now because you didn't take care of yourself. It has nothing to do with the superficialness at all. It doesn't. Because what you see is one thing. The agility, the mobility, and people just got this shit all fucking wrong. They got it all wrong. Let me give you an example. When you see the marathon people running, you think that's fucking healthy? Running 26 fucking miles? Wow, that's so great, boy. Why you do marathon and however long it took you, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Why? Well, other people are doing it, so I can do it too. Running in the street and training, that's real smart. How's that fucking smart? There's cars fucking going, pulling out of your running in the fucking street. Constant pounding on the pavement, on your fucking knees and your joints and everything. How the fuck is that healthy for you? All backwards fucking thinking. It's all backwards fucking thinking. It's social conditioning telling you that that's the way to exercise. Take on these challenges. Stupid. It's fucking retarded. Yeah. What? It's just what I call dumb fitness. You know, you go to one extreme or to the other. You could say, well, look at these people that are, training and doing these marathons, and then you've got other people ain't doing nothing. Well, which one is better for you? Stupid. Neither. None. The Greeks, the ancient Greeks, they believed that when you should be a complete person, the Stoic philosophy, but more than that, they studied math and science, astronomy, art, history, philosophy. They trained to fight. They wrestled. There was no bodybuilding, but they believed in moving their body. Strength, but practical strength. You don't see that today. You know what you see? You go to the gym, pushing machines, and and now am I saying using machines is useless? No, but it's not using your fucking mind. Machines were designed for the sick initially. Arthur Jones, look up Nautilus, the history, the creator of, these machines initial that when they first came out in the late 70s. I was a kid back then, but I do remember the uses of the four stations, leg press. There was a military press. There's a bench press on one side, and I think there was a dipping bar, that was attached. It was four stations, about 1990, because I was lifting back then. D- Designed to make exercising easy. Now, let's think about this now. Why is exercising meant to be easy? Why? I understand what I said earlier about if you were sick, like if you were recovering from an accident or something, well, a machine could make, at least you could get some resistance, like as you're doing certain exercises, if you have problems in your back or your hips, and the leg press, being able just to at least push your legs forward. But what happened was the machines took over. And I'm laughing, but it's the most pathetic thing of all, because you go into a gym, it's all these machines. Why? Most of these people are not sick. These young people, they're doing these exercises, these new machine hip thrust machine. I've seen this kind of thing. It's all meant to be comfortable. It's not what this is about. It was never designed to be comfortable. The body is not static. It's not supposed to be, okay, well, I sit here and I do this now. And that, can you, okay, well, will it, if you're doing some type of like cable row and stuff like that, will you activate the back muscles from pulling it, heavy weight in? Yeah. But let me ask you something. I call it useless strength. It's useless. So what? And then you stop doing it, and then it's not practical, because you're lifting for the wrong reasons. You're just thinking, well, okay, well, if I do all these exercises and all this kind of thing, and add this muscle to my body, which number one, uh, doesn't it doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't serve any purpose. And if it doesn't serve any purpose, then it's not practical. And then when you get older, yes, okay, do women suffer from osteoporosis and a bone density issue? I understand that. Yes, it is important, but I just find that what the programming, the understanding of what fitness is, it just seems to be warped. It's like everything is broken into decompartmentalized areas. For example, okay, well, if I go to a martial arts studio and I learn this one art, it's karate, linear, one style, taekwondo, one style. I go to a boxing gym. What do they teach? One style. Learn jujitsu. What do they teach? One style. Um, I go to the MMA. These places with the octagon. And they, you know, what do they basically teach? one style. You go to a gym and they my point is that fitness should not be one style. You see these people that can do gymnastics. What do they do? One style. They do calisthenics. What do they do? One style. What, who, why is everything that way? Why can't, your own individual style be um, forged? Like, why is it that you have to go to one thing and do one thing only? Hasn't anybody ever combined things? And you just don't see that. It's amazing because Bruce Lee didn't do one style. It's a freestyle, it's a jeet kune do. It's a combination of different fucking styles. His exercise routines, his workouts with the abs, and just lots of. You see when he like did the cobra, that pose when he comes out, it's genetics, but like an incredible work ethic. That's you know to me practical. Like the muscle, it should be efficient. Like it should be useful. But everybody's so focused on the superficial, like what does it look like, and if it doesn't look impressive, then well, yeah. you know I want you to think about this. If you ever see people working on a pull-up bar, or any of these type of bars or rings and stuff like that, I want you to think about how hard some of these exercises are to do. You could try some of these things yourself, and you'll see almost nobody does it. It's hard as fuck. I just got back in to this type of calisthenic type training, but it's just not linear like that. A lot of these calisthenic exercises involve this type of balance. That you know I did. There's enough exercises I do that work on balance for me. But it just seems that when you mention fitness, it's just this linear type of thinking about how big you are, how you look, that yeah, to me it's about what you can do. And well, what do you do? I can push, I can bench press. Fuck, why is that the bar? How much weight you can push forward, off your chest, over your head, or pulling? Why is that? Like, what is it? An ego thing? I think it has something to do. That makes somebody superior to somebody else in the gym, that they can, take 100-pound dumbbell and row it, or what? Who came up with this? And you'll notice it's all young people, these influencers that I could look at them and I know they're taking shit. These women, like they have great fucking bodies, and they think, wow, look at, the way that she can do these lunges and move the thing, and boy, she really, they're fooling everybody but me. Everyone out there. Oh yeah, they're beautiful to look at, of course. But you think that's from the work that they're doing? No, no. You're living during a synthetic era, is what it is. And you never see older people that are doing that, because what happens when you get old, if you're taking all that shit, first off, you stop taking, it all goes away because it's all chemicals. First off, if you stop anything, it all goes away. It does. Because I was doing, calisthenic type moves. I felt, in the span of 3 months of not doing any uh, dips, behind the neck, chins, all these different types of exercises, front lever, all, rings, skin the cat, all this kind of stuff. Working the scapula muscles, all this kind of stuff. I stopped. And guess what happens? It all goes away. Gone. It takes a certain level to upkeep it. It takes a certain amount of work to make progress, and then if you don't do anything, gone. It just gets rid of it, because body just goes, well, hey, I don't need this anymore, because my body's not being taxed to do this. So it just gets rid of it. The chemicals are the worst. Now, I've never taken any anabolics, but it's just putting in, and then when it's not necessary and you don't put in, it just gets rid of it. So it's fake. But the exercises, that's not fake. But if you get anything off of this, in other episodes, I'm gonna start talking about, like, the what I consider the right diet to change your body, to get yourself naturally in the best condition that you'll ever than you'll ever will possibly be. But it's just amazing that, naturally, how far you could go if you focus and put your efforts correctly into what you're doing, and stop doing what most people do. Most people are, they're I don't understand, like, why everybody looks to Arnold, and then saying, oh, the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, oh my God, you know this guy was the greatest bodybuilder of all time. And meanwhile, you're listening, taking advice from somebody that took steroids. Why? It's amazing. It's amazing. Like, I hate to say it, and I have nothing against The Rock or John Cena or any of these. Met them all, but these people that are taking shit that could literally kill you. It can. What they were taking, and this is what's glorified. I hate to use the word cheating. I hate that, but it's just so amazing that people are more impressed by guys that take steroids than somebody that could do 500 push-ups or whatever kind of exercise, something that has value. 100 dips, just I don't understand. Because most people, it's looking at the superficial. They're looking at it, the guys that, but the real value is the is in the mobility and agility, but you don't realize that till you don't have it anymore. I see it when I'm in the park and working out, and older people come by and they have some bands and they'll do a little something, and because you don't get it until you're old. When you're in your 60s, there's a woman today, nice lady, and she keeps talking about, wow, your obliques, your big. Doesn't what you fucking see is not in it's like this, like what you see. What you can do is this. I can't even, you know, tell you how important mobility is, because unless you don't have it, unless then you don't realize it. And it's like it's not as linear. Oh, hitting the front lever or being able to do a skin to cap, it's great stuff. I mean, but I just notice people are just like linear, just one dimensional. You know, they don't practice their balance. They're little bits of everything. They're like kind of one trick ponies. Generally, if young people that can do the back lever, front lever, do that. They practiced on YouTube. I've seen all this stuff. Took 600 days to be able to do the hanging flag. To do one move, that's pretty difficult. Is that the bar of fitness? Just to practice one, just to be able to do that the human flag or whatever. And how come it's always young people? You don't see a 60-year-old trying to learn how to do the human flag because they fuck themselves up. Because 99.9% of people in their 60s are not in good shape. You know why? Because when they're in their 20s, they never thought they're going to get to be 60. And they went along with societal social programming. Who cares about the vanity now? When you were in your 20s, that was so important. That's why you maybe worked out, and then that all didn't fucking matter anymore, huh? Your 30s came around, 40s, 50s, now you're 60 fucking years old. And it goes back to what I said in the beginning in the 34 minutes ago. When I was young, I used to be able to. Hmm. Huh. It's very interesting how things come full circle. You never thought you're gonna be, huh? But guess what? Time stands still for no human. I was going to say for man, but for woman, but it's for everybody on earth. The time ain't going to fucking stop. It's going to catch up to you. And you're going to be, if you're alive, you're going to be 60 years old one day. Now it's time to work out. Now It's too fucking late, dude. It's never too late. That's true. But let me tell you something. You try to pick up at 60 years old to get in shape. It's just amazing, you know? Easy to say. Easy to fucking say. I went to the park twice today. Two workouts. Hard as fuck. Hard as hell. Going to the gym, 10 times easier. Easy. Machines, easy, you know? There's the light weights and you try doing exercises just using your body weight. It's only your body weight. See how fucking hard it is. See how fucking hard it is on a bar to take to to get your to pull your fucking body off the ground, go behind, to go in front, to lift your legs out. Just your body weight. Why is it so hard? Because it's hard as fucking hell, dude. Real fitness is no joke. It's not leverage. It's not pushing a machine. Then you'll see almost nobody doing, you'll see some young people in the dip, just standard things. Anybody can do leverage exercises of taking a weight, and moving around. Of course, it's something. You're moving, you know. But how many people work on movements? I watch almost nobody. Most people just don't even work on, any go to take a boxing class. Why are you getting in the ring or something? What do you? It's just all this. It makes no sense to me. It doesn't. It doesn't. Maybe it makes sense to younger people, but I just notice older people. It's like they they didn't give much value to this until it's too late. I just I don't understand that when young people, like, it's all about the car, and oh man, look at this fucking rock, man, this has got 100, this got 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower. How much horsepower do you have as a human, you know? But then when someone's 60 years old, can't even fucking walk, half a mile without, being, if my mentor, he can't fucking walk 2 blocks around a building, nothing. It's just amazing. It's amazing where people put their stock into. They just don't get it. They go along with this conditioning. They don't realize that this human organism, it has to be. It's meant to be used, and it's meant to be used hard. But these gyms are not. That's not how you use your body. This is air conditioned, comfortable places with these machines and everything. How the fuck is that really? I just hate that word, that comfortableness. It's disgusting to me. Comfortable workout. Oh yeah, that really, really, that's like eating cake, and saying, well, I'm gonna get in shape just by comfort foods like, desserts and everything. Do you see how dumb that is? Does that make any sense to you? Anyway, I mean, I could go on for hours and hours about this because, somewhere along the lines, this just became about, the comfortable fitness, treadmill, these people walking on the treadmill. I guess but why do you go to a gym to walk on a treadmill? Like, why can't you do that outside? Why do you have to do that on a machine? Does it make any sense? Because you're going to a place to walk. Okay, maybe you're jogging on it or something, but I just don't understand what you're really extracting off of it. What do you're not getting very much. I see these people like when I'm walking, and I could see this European gym. I don't want to give it a plug or anything, but I look, and these people are walking on the treadmill. Some of them jogging on the treadmill, and I just don't see that as I see that as just being linear, robotic. Like how does that improve like your mobility, your agility? Like why does it have to be everything so linear? Why can't you combine things? Who was, let me give you a good example of somebody that did combine arts was Billy Blanks, Tybo. Very smart, you know, punch and kick, punch and move, that was very good because he basically took aerobics and combined it with martial arts. But you see, movement. It was the movements. Ah, you're moving your fucking body. Now, he was relatively young, showing, it's hard for older people to because what happens is you're not moving, you know, again, as I mentioned, once you stop when you're young and you're not moving your body around a lot in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, but you wake up, you're 60 years old, now you can't move anymore. What I mean by moving is the agility, mobility, not walking. And if you can't do that, then you're basically in deep shit, in my opinion. Nobody wants to like really be honest. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. What? Why can't people just be honest? They don't want to hurt your feelings, your emotion. They don't, don't be too honest. Don't want anybody to get mad at you. You look young. Don't want to get anybody upset. Don't be honest. How are you doing today? I'm okay. I don't want to, don't be too honest. The society is a lie. If you really think about it, it's just it's and I think I know why. Like I can kind of it's funny that something like fitness is literally priceless when you need it when you need it. And I mean, I'm talking about need it, I'm talking about people that can't walk, their stroller or whatever, like, or whatever, like they're, or the end of the, it's priceless. You can't put a dollar amount on it when somebody's on their deathbed because they didn't take care of themselves their whole life, and it's priceless. But it's amazing that it literally has zero value when you don't need it. Isn't it amazing? Something can have literally zero value and then can be priceless on the other side. One extreme. Sorry, let me get that in. My point, you can't even put a price on it when you need it, when you need it the most. I want, you two people that are watching this, think about that. Think about that. Hmm. Because it's who cares about it when you don't need it? And then when somebody's like, a mobile or something like that, you know, I don't know, I just, then they need a physical therapist at that point. See, that's the levels of it. Now, they're in such bad shape for whatever reason. For whatever reason, they can't justify. But here's the thing. You take age, you take lack of fitness over the decades, and then what happens is the odds of um, you experiencing health problems and all these things, it goes up. Yeah, there's stories about, well, this guy worked out, obsessively too much, and then this happened to him. There's stories for everything, stories for fucking everything. But if you get anything off of this 48 minutes, this is what I want to leave this episode with. I want you to start to understand that the mirror is not the ultimate judge, and the mirror shouldn't matter, and people's opinions don't fucking matter, especially because this ride called life, the time that you're here on this earth, it comes to an end. It does. You're gonna die anyway. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but there's a way that that ride can become awful, absolutely awful, when the years add up and they turn into decades, and then you can't move anymore, and you can't do this anymore, and you can't do that anymore, and you're not. And it boils down to those two things I talked about, was mobility and agility. And it's just completely undervalued due to the superficial way of thinking that most have. They don't get it. They don't understand that you're going to get old. It's really amazing. It really is. Yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my 50 minutes of, I don't know, kind of a rant. It's not really a rant, but it's a educational learning about fitness, real, what I call real fitness. And unfortunately, the money goes to the people, the icons of fitness, the Arnold, the great god of because, you know, when you take steroids and you win the Mr. Olympia contest, that means you know absolutely everything about, health and fitness and longevity. Amazing, it's so amazing. It where people give, their power to, their attention to. It's not about the guy who wins the 50-year-old natural bodybuilding shows because I'm the only one competing in the goddamn thing. Only one. One other guy in the Southern California Championship that I compete in the physique category. There were only two of us. Ironman Invitational Natural Bodybuilding Show, 40 to 49 Masters category. Winner. Winner. How do I win? I'm the only one. But even that is a bad indicator because, being on stage is not about agility and mobility. It's about superficial looks. That's where the diet comes in. But you see, even the problem with being on stage, it's I'm into functional muscle, and that's not what's important in a show. It should that that your show should be your life, is what the show is. Your show, your life. But people don't understand that health and fitness is about how you feel and what you can do, how you move and everything. It's not just about what you see in the story. It's really amazing. Whole industry should completely, it needs a total hall makeover, do over. It's just too linear, too fucking linear. People doing things that just don't have, they're one extreme or the next. A runner running 26 miles, thinking that's the definition of fitness. Powerlifting or just bodybuilding, that's real fitness. Oh, don't even get me started on CrossFit. Don't even get me started on CrossFit. Doing odd movements, lifting, doing crazy shit, like now CrossFit. That's real smart. Yeah. How many older people you see doing that? I wonder why. Because it's odd fucking movements. That's how you fuck yourself up. It's all these young people. young influencers taking shit that they do in this kind of CrossFit kind of thing, thinking that's that's real. Some idiot came up with it, and then there you go, created a whole industry around that. That competition thing. Nonsense, dude. All just because the young people don't know, so they just come up with something that they can all give it a reason to jump into something different. I really just want to gear these talks about fitness to the older crowd. I don't want to talk to 25-year-olds because they're not going to get it. They're it doesn't apply to them. They don't. They'll when they get old, then they'll get it because it's inevitable when the time adds up. You'll see it all right. But young, it doesn't apply. I guess that's why it's important to stick to specific, a category of people to really help them uh, in the best, most efficient way that I know that I can. And let those people do whatever they're gonna fucking do, and don't allow it to agitate you. But it's pretty pathetic when you see what people take and what they you know they don't know shit. They might be fooling everybody else. They ain't fooling me. They can't, dude. They finish dead last in natural Olympia contest against dudes that are taking steroids. Meanwhile, I can fucking do these type of movements. You know, I was cut like a fucking diamond. There's guys there with their fucking abs hanging, like not even close to mine. And I finished at the Natural Olympia in the Grandmasters physique category. I finished in fifth place against guys that are cheating. Amazing, but it's important to realize that it's about taking care of yourself for you, not for anybody else, not for anyone, but you. Because when you take care of yourself, then you can go out there and help other people. But you got to be selfish in life. You have to be. Even LeBron James talked about this. The kids had to go on the back burner for him to practice. Most people, they're not putting their kids on the back burner. Like, my kids will hate me if I neglect them. You ain't gonna be around, motherfucker, if you don't take care of yourself. You don't get that. People don't get that. Take 1 hour a fucking day, one fucking hour where you can really focus just on yourself and work on your mobility and your agility and your fitness. You think your kids are gonna remember that? My dad was never there for me. Dude, that 1 hour fucking a day will extend your fucking life so that you'll be around when your kids get older, and they that's when they become more conscious and aware that now you're still there. You're still alive. But most people, nope, 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 nope. They're already living vicariously through their fucking kids. I see it every day in the park, every fucking day. They don't exercise. They do very little, if nothing. They don't get it. They just don't get it. You know, amazing. You know, it's like not about them anymore. Now it's about the kid playing and having fun. I remember friend that I knew would take his kid to a karate, his daughter to karate or whatever like that, and he's sitting there in the seat watching. Why aren't you fucking moving yourself too? Why aren't you fucking doing it? Because it's not about you anymore. It's about the whoever the kid is. It's all about them. You just don't fucking get it. If you don't take care of yourself, you are going to deteriorate fast. Fast as fucking hell. Anyway, if you like this, I do appreciate it. We're going to keep these type of educational fitness videos going, and I will start talking about various exercises. I'll start talking about diet, what you're putting in your fucking body, how that's going to affect how your car runs. Most people eat like garbage, don't know how to fucking work out, don't know how to change their bodies, don't know anything. This is where we're going to start from the ground and build up. Stop listening to these influencers. Stop looking at things that don't listening to famous people. Stop your definition. Your what a bodybuilder is. You got to get that Ronnie Coleman nonsense. Get all of that out of the fucking mind and understand a bodybuilder is somebody that works on their body. Don't have to look big. Don't have to look like anything. You're changing your body. That's what a fucking real bodybuilder is. Get out of the fucking this nonsense of what the society has programmed in you to tell you this is what this is what this is. Because it's not what it is. I'm going to go and change everything. I'm going to tell you how to do this the right way. Keep paying attention.